Here's some really interesting news about Trump's legal troubles, but of course this isn't as sexy as the Russia investigation, so it's largely ignored by the media. Judge rules emoluments case against Trump improperly profiting off of his hotels can move forward. That's interesting. A district court judge has ruled that the emoluments case against President Donald Trump can move forward. According to Bloomberg, Judge Peter Messitte in Greenbelt, Maryland, rejected the Justice Department's argument to dismiss the lawsuit. The ruling was a huge blow for Trump, who swears there are no conflicts of interest, and no violations of the Constitution's emoluments clauses. Detractors say, however, that world leaders and influential political organizations and leaders are actively using the Trump Hotel near the White House in a way that helps the Trump family profit. The judge did say that he would entertain additional dismissal requests in the future, but as it stands today, the lawsuit may continue. This is one of three brought by watchdog groups, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Another case in New York federal court was rejected. The Washington trial court, however, was brought by dozens of Democratic lawmakers, was brought by dozens of Democratic lawmakers led by Senator Richard Blumenthal. Okay, so for those of you who don't understand the nuances of this particular case, the Cliff Notes version is the Constitution says a president cannot be accepting money from foreign governments for obvious reasons, because they can buy favors. If a foreign government is dumping a tremendous amount of money into your personal bank account, well then, yeah, you have a giant incentive to do the bidding of those foreign countries and kind of ignore the will of the American people and ignore what you're supposed to do as a head of state in the U.S. So that clause in the Constitution makes perfect sense. You know, in fact, it should go even further. It should be you can't accept money from foreign governments, but also you can't accept money from corporations, for example, because clearly when politicians take money from corporations, they do the bidding of those corporations. So this is, and you can go back and check all the segments I've done on this. This is one of those issues where I said from day one, this is real. And it's real because, yes, Donald Trump, for example, does business in 12 different countries. And yes, in the process of doing business in 12 different countries, he has accepted money from foreign governments. And what they're pointing to here is an even clearer case where his hotel in Washington, D.C., there are heads of state or top officials of other countries that when they come to Washington for business reasons, they'll stay at Trump's hotel. Now, they'll argue, well, that's not really an incentive for Trump to help out those countries, so it's really not that big a deal. It's just a regular guy with a regular business, and there is no conflict of interest here, and he's not doing favors for them. Now, maybe that argument would carry weight. Maybe. I'm not sure I would agree with the argument, but maybe that argument would carry weight if, you know, they were paying the standard rate. But, for example, Saudi Arabia, top Saudi officials paid about $270,000 to stay in Trump's hotels. Why? You tell me why. That's not how much it really costs. But they gave him $270,000, and the idea is that's the Saudis giving a wink and a nod to Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and the entire administration and saying, we are staying at your hotel, but don't worry, we don't want anything in return. Here's $270,000. And then look at that, lo and behold, every time we fucking blink, there's a new Saudi weapons deal. It was over a $100 billion weapons deal. In fact, it was, I think, $350 billion over a 10-year period. And then again, just this past week or so, there's another Saudi weapons deal. They just keep adding more. And they're using these weapons to commit a genocide in Yemen. They're bombing women and children. They're blockading the country. There's millions of people who don't have food. There's a cholera outbreak where people are infected all over the place. They're hitting mosques and hospitals and schools, and they're doing it with U.S. weapons, okay? So we are arming, funding, backing a genocide, and there's corruption going on in the process to approve the deals. Now, I'm sure the U.S. government would approve it anyway, but you can't give $270,000 to the president at his fucking hotel, then get a giant weapons deal, and then act like there's hunky-dory and there's no problem with that at all. Are you kidding me? This is 20 times the scandal that's happening with Russia. You have personal corruption leading to weapons being sold, and then the weapons are being used in a goddamn genocide. And this is just one issue. We haven't even gotten into Israel, for example. There's countless examples of, Jared Kushner taking millions from a top Israeli bank and then pushing the UN to not condemn the illegal Israeli settlements. This is corruption all over the place, okay? So here you have a real case where you have an international business empire that Trump has, and he is taking money from foreign governments and then doing policies to help those foreign governments. Of course that shouldn't be allowed, and of course that's against the Constitution. So here you have a real case against Donald Trump, and this gets relatively, next to no coverage compared to fucking Russia, and Stormy Daniels. And that sucks, man, because, my philosophy is, and my take is, I think if you cover Trump effectively, and you're allowed to get outraged. Of course you can get outraged, but you have to get outraged over that which is truly outrageous. And when you don't do that and you break the outrage meter, well, then it's the boy who cried wolf. And it's, oh, sure, you're outraged about some stupid shit last week, and I'm supposed to believe you when you're outraged about some shit that might be real this week? So, and this is the shit they should be focusing on, because this proves insane corruption in his administration. And this proves that, they're doing the bidding of foreign governments and they're doing the bidding of corporations with Goldman Sachs littered in his administration and all that stuff. But again, I feel like this kind of corruption is just accepted in Washington, and that's why they don't talk about it. This kind of corruption, doing Saudi Arabia's bidding, Bush did it, fucking Obama did it, everybody did it. So they act like, nah, it's old news. No, it's not old news. If people really knew what the fuck was going on, they would melt down. It's terrible, but just because you're used to it in Washington doesn't mean it's okay. But corporate media views it through the same lens that Washington elites view it through, so this is nothing. They don't even talk about this. So it's sad. They should talk about this, because this is real corruption, and if you make a case on this, it actually can convince people who may have been pro-Trump to go, whoa, I don't like that. That's not cool. So another missed opportunity for the media, another missed opportunity for the Democrats, and this is a real story that people should be talking about. It's a case where even if you favor or don't favor impeachment, this is an issue where it's actually legitimate on the merits, and that's not something you could say about a lot of the other ways that they're trying to go after him and impeach him.